Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and Extinction just dropped, and you can see that I am in the actual city, or the sanctuary if you want to think of it that way. And I'm going to walk you through everything that you need to know how to start this map out, what to do, things to expect, things along those lines. I'm not going to give you some of the super spoilers because I want you to find those on your own, but this will give you everything that you need to know right off the bat about Extinction. So let's go ahead and get started without further ado. So if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below, and then consider subbing to the channel. So the map, right? In the center section that I am currently in, this is called the Sanctuary. It is the safest zone on the entire map, and it's probably one of the best places that you can go. I'm going to describe this in just a second. In the upper right corner, you have the frozen zone, just like a frozen zone on any map. In the bottom right corner, you have your scorched earth or your desert zone. In the upper left corner, you have your aberration zone, but it's not truly aberration. It's just called the Sunken forest, and it's got some special creatures over there. And then in the bottom left corner, you have sulfur pits. Now, those are your 5 major zones. The 6th one, if you want to think of it this way, is the entire everything in the middle. This is called your Wasteland, or your whatever you want to call it, the Badlands. I've heard a lot of names for it. And those are the major zones. So things that you need to know about each of the zones, right? So this is the middle. This is the sanctuary. There's lots of man-made structures, lots of building zones. It is temperate, so you don't have to worry about heat and or any sort of like major issues. And it's got tons and tons and tons of resources and quick access points to get pretty much anywhere you could want to go. So I would highly encourage you to use this zone pretty much as your starting point, no matter when you go there. This is one of the best spots to go. The closer you can get to this section right here, where I am on the map, and just so you can see it's 50-60 or 66 technically. This is a fantastic spawn point because there's everything that you could need, everything from metal nodes to crystal to all kinds of cool stuff. And obviously you can see all the resources nearby, but the biggest reason you want to get over here, because for mid game, this is one of the best maps in the entire world, because you'll see funky looking structures just like I have right here. And you can hit these structures actually and get very unique resources. Specifically, you're going to be able to get element dust, which you've probably never seen before. Electronics. Element dust can be turned into element, and electronics, which can be gathered from these things, are super, super useful, obviously. And you'll hear something coming down out of the sky. If you look up and listen, you should be able to locate where an orbital supply drop just hit, and that's something we'll hit later on. But back anyways, these tables and structures can be harvested just like you would a rock. So you can grab Doedicarus, and Doedicarus will get you a stupid amount of resources by swinging these tables, and you'll be able to get that crystal, element dust, and the electronic. It's really, really, really powerful. So it also provides you with quick access to these. These are your city terminals, which you can use to get off of this map, because there are, I don't believe there are obelisks unless they've changed it. You can upload Survivor, and these all work as your generic places you can go for a city terminal. Now, obviously, you'll see that you can make vehicles inside of this. You can make yourself a scout, and you can make yourself an enforcer, which are harvestable creatures for the first time that you'll be able to actually make. Now, you'll see them when you run into them in the actual sanctuary right here. They look kind of like giant machines, and those machines are things that in the wild are dangerous, but when you make them yourselves, they're like rideable creatures. I don't see one right now, but they do exist. So again, remember I was saying the metal structures can be harvested just like that. You can harvest these street lights as well, and you'll occasionally get scrap metal, which can be turned into ingot, which is a super useful thing as well. So this is definitely the place you want to start inside of this center city. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of what you need. Tames you can find here, pteranodons, pretty much all your flyers, rexes, and everything that you need. And then down in this little chasm down here, you've got a swamp, and the swamp can also be very useful. You'll see an enforcer when I was talking about that metal creature thing there. And lots of very valuable things. You've got your crocodiles, your water. I believe you can find plant species X down there. And just in general, a really nice zone to be able to go to. You can get Megalosaurus down here. Yeah, pretty much everything you need. So that's the sanctuary, right? Now, the next zone that we're going to talk about is the zone you have to cross as soon as you leave the sanctuary. And that's what I'm in right now. And this is the Wastelands, if you want to think of it like that. Now, the Wastelands has, you can see, harsh conditions cause food and water to deplete rapidly. So having a little bit of fortitude here can be very useful on this map, and it's definitely something you want to keep an eye for. So you can harvest everything in the Wastelands, and it's kind of like your generic, how do I say this, harvestable zone that has like a desert style feel to it. because nothing super valuable is out here. There's some small areas where you can find silica and harvest the silica. You'll be able to get obsidian, and you'll be able to get metal out in this zone. If you circle the entire thing, you'll understand what I mean by that. It's kind of scary because all of the creatures that exist in this zone that are kind of like these purplish creatures are corrupted. So no matter what, they will try and kill you. And they do increase damage, but also take increased damage. I believe it's like 2x. They take increased damage by 2 and deal 2x damage. So they are quite dangerous because they are very, very, you can see the purplish colors. But if you kill them, you can actually get corrupted nodules from them. And those corrupted nodules, you can actually harvest those corrupted nodules, and they will basically serve as organic polymer, which is a super useful strategy late game. Unfortunately, I didn't get any off of that one. But it's something that you can do. So that is this entire zone. Now, when you are in this zone, it's still going to render in the first couple of times you play, just as you see me kind of like rendering in things slowly. You want to be aware of a few things. See that like smoke trail over here? We're going to head straight towards it. This is a orbital supply drop. There are 2 types of things that spawn out here that are super valuable. Orbital supply drops and veins. Now, veins are things that you can complete waves of enemies and get element for. And then orbital supply drops, like you see right here, are things that you can actually go up to like this. Orbital supply drop, you see legendary. This is a supply drop that I can complete. And if I complete it, I get a bunch of loot. It'll like jump out the sides of this thing. Now, there are different levels of these things. A purple is not a beginning game thing. You can see this right here. It pushes all the creatures out. And you just want to defend this thing. And as soon as you defend it, you get a whole bunch of free resources, basically. And purple is not something you're going to be able to do. You'll see these creatures just started spawning over here, and they're going to try and kill it. You just have to save it from getting killed. There's some Spinos that are coming forward as well. If they do enough damage to it, they will destroy it. So definitely be aware of that. So anyways, this is the sulfur pits or the sulfur zone. This is somewhere you can get a bunch of resources, anything from sulfur, metal, all kinds of. It's very hot over here, so that's why having you can see me in desert and good fortitude, and I'm still overheating in this zone, so you want to be careful of that. But you can get raw salt. Pretty much all stuff that you can get from your scorched earth map can come from this sulfur zone. Now, tames wise, you'll get some Spinos over there, but that's about it. Now, obviously, you can see this is where it gets a little scary. You'll find a bunch of gas bags and pteranodons out in the major zone, but it can be a very, very dangerous place just because the number of things that can go to you is pretty crazy. Now, this is our desert biome in the bottom right corner over here. Now, it is considered nighttime over here, even though as soon as I leave this, it's not considered nighttime. Kind of funky how that works, right? Let's go ahead and go gamma 5 just because. So it is nighttime over here, and inside of this zone, you will be able to get a couple of the special creatures. The Velonosaur can be gathered from over here, and those are your creatures that literally are moving turrets. That's what they do. And you can also run a couple of the caves and stuff like that from this zone as well. Now, outside of Velonosaurs, there's nothing super valuable over here. You will fight the Desert Titan over here at some point in time. But that's pretty much the big thing you want from over here is Velonosaurs. Outside of that, people kind of avoid this region because there's not really any great base locations. So people kind of just stay away. Now, as soon as you leave this zone, we're going to go ahead and head. Oh man, I need to turn that gamma down. Oh my goodness. Go gamma 3 on this thing. Gamma 5 is too much over there. So we're going to head up here. You'll see some cool man-made structures. Nothing special in there. They're just man-made structures. As you go through them, you'll end up into the snow biome. Now the snow biome, boom, just like you see, it's a pretty neat area. They looks like they've changed a few things, a couple of graphical updates, but that's about it. They've got some structures over here, but this is your generic snow biome that you can also, I'm going to gamma up in here, gamma 5. And this zone is something that you can kind of go around and get your Managarmers. There's one right there, and your snow owls. There's one right beneath me as well. So those are 2 unique creatures to this map. The snow owl is essentially a Argentavis. They can't carry as much, but has literal special vision and stuff like that. So it's super cool. And the Managarmers are kind of like your early game destroy bots because they're super fast. They can fly around in the sky like you see. And they have an ice breath that'll freeze things. So it's a very popular PvP tame. And for transport on PvE, it is also very good. This is also where you'll find your Giganotosaurus spawns, mammoths, and other generic water creatures. It is an okay metal zone, but it's not the greatest. So that is the snow biome. Now I'm going to quickly cross some more of the wastelands over here. And once we get past the Wastelands, there's a special area up there called the Blood Plains. Now, if you go up there, it is incredibly dangerous. You're going to have wyverns and giganotosauruses, all kinds of really, really crazy things. I'm not going to go there right now because it's more of a late game thing, and I'll let you experience it on your own. But here's perfect. This is a OSD, or not an OSD drop. This is a element vein. So if you go walk up to this, you'll see it has a certain amount of health. And if you defeat the waves, which is going to spawn in a whole bunch of creatures, after this is all over, I think it's 5 waves unless they changed it. Basically, you kill all the creatures that are trying to kill the nodes, and you can harvest all of these things to get a bunch of element and element dust, which is super cool, obviously. Now, we're going to go ahead and go past that, though, because we're going to head over to this upper left corner. In this upper left corner, there is a special zone, and this is the Sunken Forest. It goes literally down underneath the map. Now, there's a few render zones, so go slow, because if you render it too quickly, you will freeze and lag out of the game. And as you can see, it looks just like Aberration, because that's basically what it is. It just doesn't have any of the aberrant dinos. Go Gamma 3 on this guy. Gamma 3. And this is a aberrant zone, and this is one of the most popular places to go because it's considered underground. It's safe from the weather from above. It's got better base locations because you can build up into the ceiling, kind of like up in here for PvP purposes. But more importantly, it has one of the most popular tames in the entire game. I don't know why that's just floating there. That's kind of funny. The gotchas. Now, gotchas are literal gotchas. They take resources from you, and when they take those resources, they will poop out or drop off their back special crystals. Now, those special crystals, I'm looking for a gotcha. I can't find one right now. Those special crystals can be popped by the hundreds or stored in order to give you a bunch of resources, which is obviously incredibly valuable, and they will also give you pretty good early game loot. They will drop off random things off their back in order to give you really nice resources. So yeah, pretty popular thing in order to use the gotchas. I don't know why I can't find any right now, but if you run around at the zone down here, I guess, oh, I think I hear one. You'll hear them because they sound like something's popping on them. It's like, I don't know how to say it any better than that. Because they go, and then they pop a crystal off their back. They're pretty cool. I like them, but I can't find one right now, unfortunately. So that's kind of dumb. Oh well. But you can take a snow owl, like I just talked about. Remember I said that snow owls are pretty cool. They have thermal vision, and you can use that thermal vision in order to come down here and spot the gotchas without having to struggle like I am right now. So those are the major distinct biomes, okay? Now, obviously that's something that you want to be aware of because it's super useful. Now, just to talk about some of the resources that you want to know about. You can get beaver dams in this zone, so your cementing paste can be gathered in the Sunken Forest. You can get electronics, literally like we talked about, by hitting those tables. You can get obsidian in large quantities here and here. And if you actually kill all of the, if you just like take like a good creature and run around the outside here, you'll be able to get a bunch of organic polymer just from the corrupted nodules that you can use, because that counts as organic polymer. And in this zone over here, you'll be able to get your sand, salt, everything that you need. Pretty useful, and sulfur can come from over here. Some of the best metal spots, in my opinion, if you go in this zone right here where I'm circling, you'll be able to get quite a significant chunk of metal. There's some spread around in here, but not as much as I would like. And those are your generic resource locations. Now, wood is obviously going to be the best over here or in this zone, not in the Wastelands. And you can find some gems and silica deposits. They look like special trees that are different colors and stuff, because you can get blue sap, green sap, and red sap by hitting these trees, and it counts as blue gems, red gems, and green gems. Now, the reason people love this map, because obviously I've told you everything you need to know about the generics of this map, is those OSD drops, the things that fall out of the sky, as well as those veins. If you run circles around the outside, late game, you can get some insane loot. You can also run it really quickly early game, but late game, it's really powerful to be able to just hit all of those up. So yeah, that's really important for that function over there. Now, a few more things that I want to bring up is the actual how your character should look, right? It's a very unforgiving map. So having high health, decent weight, and I know it sounds, some people go, no, don't do it. Put some into fortitude, because the amount of energy you're going to lose from food, water, and all those kinds of things from traveling, just moving around the map, is really scary. plus the heat storms. There's all kinds of really kind of weird things, and fortitude helps actually quite a bit. So I would highly encourage that. Things you want to wear, I would encourage, if you're not on a PvP server, to wear a full set of desert cloth, because you're going to get heat and cool resist, but heat is the biggest problem. So having some of that desert cloth is a very powerful thing. If you're on a PvP server, obviously wear your generic PvP things. If you want to see the extinction things, you can see taxidermies, delivery crates, which can be used in order to literally get that. You put something in it, and it'll send a delivery crate to an exact location. It can be used for raiding, which is kind of interesting, but it is what it is. All right, dino leash. These are really cool. You can place these down and prevent your creatures from escaping. Those are all saddles for things. Those are the shards that I was talking about. You can craft shards from dust. Now, very powerful thing, and it gives you a ton of access to early element. Now, unstable element, you can craft it from dust as well. Tech bridge is pretty cool. It literally creates a massive air, like you can cross chasms by putting a tech bridge down on one side and then going to the other. They also have a high health, so keep that in mind. Tech gravity grenade got introduced, so keep this as a super valuable thing, because you can throw these into things that'll throw them up in the air and send things flying without gravity. Now, a mech, I'll show you what these are in just a second, is one of the most powerful PvP tools in the entire game, because they can do a ton of damage to things, and they are just in general super powerful. Let's go ahead and go mech. All right, so there's my mech. You can see it right behind me. You craft these things in your inventory. Now you'll see that it has fuel in order to run. That fuel will respawn, and you can kind of you can provide the fuel by putting element inside of your actual mech. Now, because I am in GCM mode, it popped it up to 100%, and you'll see that that fuel is used every time you do a generic action. Now, if you run out of fuel, you don't have your mech anymore. And there's also a heat gauge, and that heat gauge is actually something that will prevent your mech from being able to fly. So you can fly for a little bit, and pretty cool. And then if you fire your pistol like you see me doing right now, you get heat and also waste fuel as well. Now he has a sword in your left click, and it's a pretty cool thing, just a really awesome add-on that they should have added a long time ago. But I don't want to ruin too many more things. I told you about the generic stuff. In each section, you'll find a different boss, and there's lots of powerful things to be on the lookout for. So definitely play this as much as you can. It's a blast of a map, and there's lots of neat things, and it's one of the big reasons that people really enjoy this game. So definitely give it a try, and hopefully this video is something that helps you out. And again, if you don't mind, smack that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. All right, teach.